Hi, I'm Matthew Rempel, and on this episode of Strategy Made Simple, we're going to be going over the social business model canvas, specifically the financial section, and we're going to go over a case study using Embers Staffing Solutions out of Vancouver. Welcome to Strategy Made Simple. We all understand that we need to be earning money to be able to continue operating, naturally. In social enterprise especially, we know that we need to be spending money to create the impact we want. But at the same time, we need to earn enough revenue that we can keep the lights on next month, next year. And in our business models, we need to account for this. We need to know where our money's coming from and what we're spending it on. That's where the financials portion of the business model canvas comes in. So in your business model, expenses occur so that you can get your resources, so that you can do your activities, and so that you can use your channels to deliver that to your customers. And revenue happens when a customer decides to buy the value you're offering and then pays for it. When we're talking about social enterprise, this is a little bit different than standard business. Because in social enterprise, we have two different revenue categories. There's the business revenues or enterprise revenues. That's the stuff that any business earns. That's the stuff that typical business as usual understands. Then you have social revenues. These are the grants, sponsorships, partnership money, or other funding that you have specifically to perform your social impact. And we also have social expenses. These are the added costs of going above and beyond in creating that social impact. When we're running a social enterprise, we are doing something that is typically more complicated than the business would be if we didn't have the social element. And the financials need to reflect that. In order to show this difference, we're going to break out several different categories of revenues and expenses based on whether they're typical enterprise or if they're social revenues and expenses. So when we're talking about standard business revenue streams, we're talking about sales of products and services. We're talking about subscriptions, that customers are subscribed to your product or service. Then we've got affiliate revenue, which is when you're earning money by sending leads to another company, which is also like a brokerage or a commission-based model, which we often see in real estate. There's also opportunity for renting income or licensing fees, advertising revenue, and usage fees, like in the case of utilities. Then on the expenses side, for a standard business, we expect the cost of the goods that you're producing, salaries of the staff, rent, marketing expenses, and assets. All of the typical expenses that we see in any kind of business. Then we can look on the social side. People who work in nonprofits are more comfortable with these kinds of incomes, but they only form a part of the income for a social enterprise. And the ratio of enterprise to social income will change based on the social enterprise. So for revenue for a social enterprise, we've got grants, we've got sponsorships, we've got partnerships for creation of social impact, and we have social procurement contracts, where the revenue is directly tied to the fact that they're creating social impact. On the expenses side, when we're talking about the social impact, there's all the extra expenses of actually creating the social impact. For example, in a workplace integration, we're talking about training for new employees. Or in an environmentally focused social enterprise, this is the cost of more environmentally friendly materials. In addition, we also have the community or stakeholder consultations and the impact measurement expenses, because it costs time and money to get those evaluations done. Now, when you're looking at your cost structure, there are two broad categories that you can use to describe it. You have value-driven and cost-driven. When we're looking at value-driven costing models, you're expecting to spend more but provide more value. You're spending a premium to provide a premium. On the other hand, the cost-driven model is about reducing the overall costs and, at the same time, reducing the price for the end customer. Both of these models can work depending on your industry, but you should pick and deliberately lean into one side or the other. It's also important to recognize that every cost is linked to another part of the business model canvas. In the workplace integration example that I used earlier, the cost of training, it's an added cost, yes, but it goes directly into the activities that are being performed by the business. And so you can't perform the activities without the associated cost. Similarly, spending more in a specific cost center can add to the total value your operation produces. When we're looking at the environmentally friendly example, it directly influences the value proposition. Because if they're not spending on that environmentally friendly product, they're not actually achieving their value proposition. So our case study for this episode is Embers Staffing Solutions. They're a workplace integration social enterprise helping provide temporary labor in the Vancouver area. So the impact that Embers Staffing Solution is trying to have is about placing people into jobs that they did not have before when they had barriers to employment, providing skills training for those people, and also shifting the temporary work industry in the Vancouver area by providing better benefits and higher wages to their temp workers. The revenue is earned by placing temporary workers on job sites and by collecting bounties when those temporary workers are hired by the host companies. The expenses for Embers are based primarily in the wages, both to their internal staff who are providing the overhead support and the temporary labor, the training for the staff, administration, and transportation to the job sites. Their customers are primarily from the construction, hospitality, warehousing, and security companies around the Vancouver area. The value proposition that they sell to those companies is that they have high-quality temporary labor with value-add supports for the workers. This leads to the companies receiving more reliable workers who are able to do the job that is needed when they step onto the job site. The relationships they have with their customers is often long-term, with multiple placements being offered to the same company. And especially for construction companies that have new jobs coming up all the time and need that flexible workforce, this long-term relationship works especially well. And the relationship with their temporary workers involves an in-depth assessment of the workers' skills and challenges. This allows Embers to provide better support, better training, and put them into more appropriate placements based on their skills and abilities. The channels that Embers uses is direct sales to construction companies based on existing relationships. Their activities are about placing staff within temp jobs, training, and sales. Their partners involve social procurement advocates like Buy Social Canada, and the resources that they use are often around administration, practices, and policies, as well as having support systems for the workers. As I mentioned, social procurement partners are a big part of Embers Staffing Solution and a large part of why they were able to scale to where they are now. If you'd like to learn more about social procurement, you can check out Buy Social Canada's resources. I've left a link down in the description of this video. I've also included several links to the sources that were used to produce this case study down in the description as well. Thank you for joining us for this video. I'd like to thank Zara Qureshi of Social Venture Circuit and Optimum Consulting for helping me to review this script. Would you like help creating a social business model canvas for your social enterprise? Please email me, matthew@strategymadesimple.ca, and I'll see if there are resources I can send you, or we can set up a workshop specifically for your social enterprise. Do you have questions, comments, or concerns about this episode? Please tweet at me, @MatthewRempel, or you can join us at Social Economy Connect. Social Economy Connect is about bringing people who care about social impact through business together to talk about the issues and to figure out how we can do this work better. It's free to join, and you can connect with other experts and practitioners who are working through how to do social business. You can join us at socialeconomyconnect.com. For more information on everything that Strategy Made Simple is doing, you can visit strategymadesimple.ca. And as you go to build up the financial model that supports your business, keep it simple.